My name is Miki and this is the Conflict Hotline. With me in the studio today are Itzel and Sigal. Welcome back for another episode of the Conflict Hotline. Together we will be working on situations from people's lives. And today we have a theme. We're focusing on anger today. And our scenario is called Not That Again and features Rosa and Rob. And Rob is home from work and you have a story to tell.
So, Rosa, you won't believe it. It happened today again. My boss gave me this project to work on and then she came up and checked it 10 minutes later. It's like I hadn't even begun to work on it.
Not
right?
That again.
So, you didn't even let me finish. You're just assuming that I'm going to tell the same story every time and I'm going to tell something else.
The same boring story every time, so...
Oh, so now my stories are boring?
Well, when I hear it over and over, it gets boring.
But it was going to be a totally different ending, but you disrespectfully interrupted me in the beginning.
Well, it's not just, you're being just as disrespectful by just wasting my time with the same exact story
Wasting your time? What? So anything I say to you is wasting your time?
No, well, it is if it's just the same thing over and over.
Well, fine. Maybe I just won't ever speak to you.
Oh, gosh, Rob, don't be ridiculous.
Ridiculous?
I'm not saying don't ever speak to me. I'm just saying stop telling me the same things over and over and over ad nauseum.
Thank you. Has anything similar to this ever happened to you, where a conversation goes on, nowhere, very fast? So we are going to work with you in a moment on how to transform this and work with it and do something different. In the meantime, I want to say the purpose of this program is to support people like you in learning skills and habits and ways of thinking and speaking that transform conflicts. This is an all-volunteer effort. The cast and most of the crew are affiliated with Bay Area Nonviolent Communication. And the rest of the crew are affiliated with Berkeley Community Media, which is also hosting the show and giving us access to the studio space. If you'd like to participate, if you'd like your conflict to be played out today, please call us, 510-433-0700. You can call about all kinds of conflicts, such as...
You could be having a conflict at work, maybe with your boss or one of your coworkers.
Just like Rob just had a conflict with his boss.
Exactly.
You could also be having a conflict with a family member or a close friend.
Or you can have a conflict with your partner, spouse, or you can even have an internal conflict. Whatever it is, please call us and we will work with it to support you and everyone else who watches the show. So let's go back to the opening role play. And before we start that, I want to talk a little bit about anger, the dynamics of anger. One of the things that we saw here is there was a ricochet. Yeah. Every time you got angry, you got angrier. As you got angrier, you got angrier. It was escalating out the roof pretty soon. So the question is, first of all, what is it that's going on? Why is it that we get angry? That's the first thing. And the second thing that we will look at is what can we do instead? And one of the things that it helps in remembering this is that usually anger doesn't start right away at the top. There is an escalation that usually happens. And in this case, at first, when Rosa was telling you that she already heard it, you were kind of surprised, maybe a little hurt, but you weren't quite angry. Mm-hmm. But she persisted. Mm-hmm. And as she persisted, you got angry, and you got angrier.
Yeah.
So the question is, where can we catch it and turn it around? And we can catch it in you before you get angry.
Okay.
Or we can catch it in you after he gets angry to see if there's something you can do instead of responding to him in a way that will escalate it. So that's going to be what we're going to try to do. And first I want to say, what is it that happens when we are angry? So some things may look obvious and some things are less obvious. The first thing is, if you're angry, it's a signal that something is really not working for you. In this case, my guess is that a big need of yours that was not met is a need for respect.
Yeah.
Were there other needs?
Care, love.
Yeah. So anger tells you that there's at least a need of yours that is really not met. But that's not the only way to respond to a need that's not met. Sometimes we respond to a need that's not met with sadness or fear or a variety of other feelings. Anger tells you that other things are going on. One is, I'm guessing that you had some judgments of Rosa. Did you?
Yeah, I did. Do you want to hear them?
Yeah.
My judgment was that she was being impatient and intolerant and not a good wife.
Yeah. So we have ideas about what constitutes a good wife, what a good wife should do. As soon as we have some ideas about what somebody should do, and then somebody does something different from what they should do, that's a recipe for anger. But even that is not completely sufficient to trigger anger. There's also, in my mind, a sense that I need to do something for myself. That if I don't, raise my voice or do something, then I'm going to be walked all over. So I don't have, usually if I'm going to get angry, it's because I don't have a real strong sense of power in the moment that I can do something to take care of my needs. Was that true for you in that moment?
Yeah, like the only power I had is to increase my my volume and my intensity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I want to do the same kind of exploration with your anger that came afterwards. Because eventually you got angry.
Yeah.
And so again, do you have a sense of what was not working for you? What was your need that was not met?
Well, I really felt like, it's interesting because it was a lot of the same needs that came up. It was respect. I felt like there wasn't really respect or care about the fact that I've heard these stories and I have ways I want to spend my time, and it's not hearing the same thing over and over.
Yeah, so there's, okay. And then I'm also the same thing. So there's a need that's not working, and then there's a judgment.
Yeah.
What was the judgment that you had of him?
That he doesn't care. He doesn't care about my time. It doesn't matter to him. It doesn't matter that, I have other things that I want to be taken care of. He thinks that just telling me the same story over and over is enough for me or something.
Yeah.
It wasn't the same story.
Wait, we'll get to that. Right now, we're just trying to unpack this phenomenon that we call anger that dominates so much of so many people's lives. So really understanding. And then the last thing is, I actually saw it. You tried several times before getting angry to express that, you just didn't want it. Yeah. But eventually you got angry.
Yeah, eventually I did. I had the sense that that Rob wasn't seeing my side at all. It was just his side and his way. And
yeah, so you didn't have a sense of efficacy about being able to get him to hear you.
Yeah.
So then the tragedy of anger, all this makes easy sense, but the tragedy of anger is that if our needs were not met before we got angry, getting angry is going to guarantee that they're not going to get met. Because I don't have a sense that getting angry worked for either of you. So there's a paradox here. We don't want to make anger bad. It's just like we want to understand what to do with it. And what most people do with it is either act it out or suppress it. Either way, you are not in a relationship of investigation with it. And what I want to support you as we explore this situation, what I would like to support you with is to have a way of kind of like inquiring into the anger instead of just acting it out or suppressing it. Neither one of you were suppressing it in this scenario, but that could happen. That does happen. So we'll get to explore what it means to suppress the anger and go into kind of like more of a fear mode later. But I just want to know if either of you has anything you'd like to add or comment or in this moment before we get into what could be done.
No, I'm curious to see what there is there.
Yeah?
I could tell this was I mean, this was going nowhere. We were just going to storm out of the room.
Yeah. Okay.